You know the companies that are doing the best with all electric cars? Do you know who it is? The tow truck companies. Those tow truck, and I love them too. I love them too. I probably won't get their vote, but I'll get everybody else's vote. No, the tow truck companies, because they don't know where the hell to charge their car. They're in the middle of the country. Oh my, what do I do? Where's the charger? You're not gonna find. Yeah, and you know who boosts up the chargers? Huh? Do you know who does it? Oil and gas and coal. That's the one that boosts the charger. The whole thing is crazy. This country has gone crazy. You know, I said recently at a speech, I thought it was quite clever. So far, nobody's really mentioned it, because if I'm clever, they don't like talking about it. Although we've been getting quite good reviews. We did a good one last night. Got a lot of good reviews. And the polls are the reviews because we're leading by so much. But, you know, I said the other day, we're like April Fool's Day. Everything's the opposite. They want open borders so that people can flood our country. They come from insane asylums. They come from mental institutions. They come from prisons. They come from all sorts of places. We don't even know who they are. We don't even know what countries they're coming from. That's April Fools. Who wants an open border? We want people to come into our country. Rudy understands that better than anybody, but they have to come in legally. The job you did in New York was so amazing. You don't get enough credit for it. They want high, that's very impressive, Rudy, by the way. They want high interest rates. They want high taxes. They want to quadruple your taxes. Now, that's April Fool's. Who ever heard? You know, when I was growing up, every politician would say, we are going to lower your taxes. They say, we are going to raise your taxes. And they don't, you know, look, they also want no voter ID because they want to cheat on elections. They don't want same-day voting. They don't want paper ballots. They never want any of that stuff because they want to cheat on elections, right? It's April Fools. Who wants that? Who wants to cheat? Even 82% of Democrats want voter ID. They want voter ID. We want one-day elections. We want all paper ballots. We have to get back to it. You know, in France, I recently had an election, and they used to have mail-ins, and they gave it up because it was so corrupt. Because once it, you know, it goes through everything. Some people get 7, 8 ballots. But France gave it up. And they had an election, and they had 36 million people vote. At 10 o'clock, everybody knew who won. It was a one-day election. It was paper ballots. It was voter ID. They had a winner. They had a loser, and that was the end of it. So crazy. What's happening to our country? It's like April Fools, everybody. No voter ID, open borders, it's all crazy. High interest rates, high taxes. Within hours of my inauguration, I will cancel every Biden policy that is brutalizing Michigan auto workers. You know, it's amazing. When I was in the White House, I'd meet with a lot of the heads of the unions. And they loved me. I said, there's no way. We'd have lunch. I'd have 5 or 6 of them at a time, sometimes 1 or 2. And they loved me. I said, there's no way. And then they go and they announce that they're going to support this guy that doesn't even know where the hell he is. He has no idea. And I said, I can't understand it. But we get the votes because the people understand it. The people understand. But I'll roll back Biden's ridiculous CAFE standards, stop the assault on the internal combustion engine, which is what you do here. Unleash American energy and save tens of thousands of Michigan jobs from destruction, because you are heading toward a fall like nobody's ever seen before. And that's with this crazy policy they have for all electric. Under Biden, we have record high trade deficits, also known, in my opinion, as losses. We lose a fortune to China, to Japan, to all these countries. I renegotiated many of the deals. The rest of them were under consideration. But we made new deals with South Korea, with Japan. We made an unbelievable trade deal with China. They buy $50 billion worth of our product that they weren't buying. They didn't want to buy anything. The number was supposed to be $15 billion. And I said to my people, did you say 50 billion or 15? They said, sir, we said 15. I said, make it 50, and we got it. And it was great for manufacturers and great for farmers. But now I understand under the Biden administration, they're not living up to their agreement. Why should they? They have the goods on Biden. You understand that, right? They have the goods. He's not going to do anything. For this reason, I will also pass landmark legislation to be known as the Trump Reciprocal Trade Act, so that if China or India or any country hits us with a 100, 200, or even 300% tax or tariff, the numbers are unbelievable, how unfair it is. Anything like that, we will immediately, on all American goods, we will immediately hit them with tariffs and taxes that are exactly the same. So if they charge us 100%, we charge them 100%. You know, it's funny, I spoke to a senator that's not really a senator, who's not really into business. He said, so explain this to me. You're saying that if, let's say, India, and they really do a very big number on us, like Modi very much, I love the Indian people, but boy, do they take advantage of us on trade. So he said, so if India charges us 100% for a motorcycle, Harley Davidson, they're building plants now in India because they can't get them in because the tax is so high. It's so high, the tariff is just a disaster. So he said, if India charges us 100, we charge them 100, right? Is that what you're saying? I go, that's what I'm saying. He goes, you got my vote. You got my vote. But there are senators that won't approve it, and there are people that won't approve it. I had one senator from Pennsylvania. He left. He couldn't have won for dog catcher, frankly. He's gone. He was a disaster. To me, he was beautiful. I'd say, so listen, China's charging us 150% tax on something. Is it okay if I charge them 100? No, sir, that's not free trade. I said, well, but they're charging us, so let me ask you this. Could I charge 100? They're charging us 150. Senator, could I charge 100? No, sir. We want free and fair trade, sir. I said, this is not free and fair. This is, could I charge him 50? No, sir, you couldn't. Could I charge him 25 or even 10%? Like beggars. Could I be a beggar? Give us, you charge us 150, we're going to charge you 10%. I was just doing it just to find out. He said, no, sir, it's not free and fair trade. Well, he's out of office now, Tommy, because he was stupid. He was stupid. He was horrible. That guy was horrible. He fought me on every damn thing. I would not give him an endorsement. I wouldn't give him, you know, our endorsement goes to 98, 99%. Lisa got my endorsement, I can tell you that. 99%. When we endorse, close to 99% of the people that we endorse win. I wouldn't endorse him, and he decided to retire. I've decided to leave office now. No, these people, I don't know where the hell you find them, Tommy Tuberville. I don't know how you find them. Just out of curiosity, if China's charging us 100%, can we charge them 100%, Tommy Tuberville? Yes, we got one vote. That's why they love him in Alabama. But it's no wonder the swamp is getting truly desperate as they see us leading very big in the polls. I'm leading very, very big in the polls. In this week's just came out Big Village poll, we lead the field by 41 points. Very nice. 56 to 15 for DeSanctimonious. He's doing good. He's falling like a rock. People are getting to know him. They know he's got no personality. Got to have a little personality. Not much, but a little. And we're leading big. In a recent CBS poll, which does not like me, we have 61%, and the Republicans are down to 11 or 12 or something. And in the new Harvard-Harris poll, doesn't love me, we're up by 45 points, leading 45 points, and it's been really amazing. In New Hampshire, we have a 47% lead over DeSanctimonious. The reason I call him that is he was dead in the water. Couldn't have gotten elected. He came begging for my endorsement. I gave him the endorsement. He won. Then they said, would you run against the president? He said, I have no comment. I said, that means he's running. This guy We get him elected. Then he says, yes, I'd run. I don't know. They say loyalty doesn't matter in this business. What do you think, Rudy? I think loyalty matters a lot. I think it matters a lot. But we're leading Biden by a lot. In that same Harvard-Harris poll, Trump leads Biden 45 to 39. All other Republican candidates are losing to Biden, which is hard to believe, to be honest with you. This young man right here sitting in the front is about 12 years old. He should be leading by 40 or 50 points. Anybody should be leading. It's horrible. Look, it was a rigged election. That's the only way they can win. These incredible poll numbers are one of the main reasons the Marxist left is weaponizing the criminal justice system to try and stop us. If I wasn't running, or if I was doing badly in the polls, all of this investigation bullshit would stop immediately. Stop immediately. And I did nothing wrong. It's under the Presidential Records Act. I did nothing wrong. Or the Clinton Sox case, which is just a reaffirmation of the Presidential Records Act. We did nothing. You know what the Clinton Sox case is? That's where Clinton, President Clinton, took out tapes and things of foreign leaders, very big deal, and he put them in his socks, and they found it in his sock drawer. So they call it the. And the judge, respected judge, ruled that he had the absolute right to have those things. And this was an affirmation. These were very, very big. That was a big deal at the time. The judge ruled in his favor. 2 weeks ago, Joe Biden ordered his top political opponent to be arrested. That's me. I never learned about being arrested at the Wharton School of Finance. They didn't have a class on arrest. We learned other things. We learned finance and things. We didn't learn about arrest. But arrested on fake and fabricated charges right in the middle of a presidential election in which Biden is losing by a lot. Can you imagine that? Sir, you're going to be arrested today. You're winning by 20 points. You're going to be arrested today. This is a continuation of the greatest witch hunt of all time, which began as I came down with our great future, then future First Lady, who people love. People love her. We came down the golden escalator in Trump Tower. Its primary purpose is a thing called election interference, but we will not let that happen. They did it in 2020. They're not doing it again. We're not going to allow it to happen. Every time the radical left, Democrats, Marxists, communists, and fascists indict me, I consider it a great badge of honor and a badge of courage. Consider it great. Essentially, I'm being indicted for you, and I believe the you is more than 200 million people that love our country. I believe that strongly. Never forget, our enemies want to stop us because we are the ones and the only ones who can stop them. We're the only ones that can stop them. They want to stop us. They'll do anything they can. You know, they're vicious. If they would apply the same genius to making our country great, we would have no problem. I probably wouldn't have even run, but they don't. They want to destroy our country. Nobody can understand it. Nobody can understand why. If these corrupt persecutions succeed, they will complete their takeover of this country, and they will destroy your way of life and the United States of America forever. It will be forever destroyed. It will never be able to come back from that. That's why this is the most important election we've ever had. They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I had such a nice life before. I had the greatest life. But you know what? I would do it again. A lot of people say, would you do it again? I said, absolutely, because this country has such potential. We're going to make this country greater than ever before. Absolutely. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. I'm never going to let them silence you. And in the end, they're not after me, they're after you. And I just happen to be standing in the way. But we're not going to let anything happen to you that's bad, and we've got to start with this election. It's coming up fast. Think of it, a little more than 6 months. We're having the primary start in Iowa, go to New Hampshire. Now, they changed it. You know, they start differently. They wanted to change it. I think that's probably going to hurt them badly, but hopefully it's not going to make any difference because we're going to win this thing so big. You know, the way you stop the cheating is to win it so big that they can't cheat. They can't create that many ballots, that many fake ballots. That's the way you really stop it. That will make our elections fair again. Joe Biden is the most corrupt president in the history of our country, and there's no doubt about that. The Biden corruption scandal is 100 times bigger than Watergate, yet the mainstream media doesn't even report the fact that Joe Biden has illegally taken millions and millions of dollars from China, Ukraine, and many other countries, and you can't read it. You see the story, and you know it's happening, and it's all over the internet, but you can't read anything about it in mainstream media. And you go to ABC, CBS, NBC, you'd go to the mainstream, the big ones, if they're big. I don't know who the hell watches them now, because they have no credibility. You know, they've lost credibility so badly. CNN, nobody's watching CNN anymore because it's fake news. Wasn't that a great term that we came up with years ago? Fake news, fake news. They are fake news. There's a lot of them back there. Hello. But Joe Biden is compromised. Can you believe that it was just announced? This is, to me, one of the hardest of all. That military installations are currently being built in Cuba, just 90 miles off our coast. And Biden isn't doing anything about it. He's not saying he can't, because they've been paying him off, and they know how they've been paying him off. They will reveal that, and that'll be the end of his presidency. I think even the fake news won't be able to cover that one up, but maybe they can. But he's basically said, okay. He's saying nothing. He said, okay. What that means for our great Cuban population in Miami, where we won incredibly. And by the way, I don't know if you know this or not, Tommy, but I got more than 1 million votes more in Florida than DeSanctimonious got. Nobody wants to talk about that. More than 1 million votes more. But what it means for our great Cuban population in Miami, Florida, and the rest of the United States is that they will never see Cuba again. It's gone. When China occupies Cuba, the Cuban Americans who love Cuba, they want to go back. They want to be there. They want to be with their loved ones. They want to be there. They're never going to be able to go back. We had it where they were ready to make a deal. It was going to be open. That's why I got the Bay of Pigs Award recently. They gave me the Bay of Pigs because nobody's done more for opening up Cuba to our great people. That whole thing was ending. And now China goes in. Now China goes in, and Biden doesn't even say anything about it. So I guess he's not going to do too well with the Miami vote, the Cuban vote, the Venezuelan vote. Unless they get back in which case I will inform China that they have 48 hours to get any military and spy equipment out of Cuba, or we will drop the hammer, and there will be tariffs and taxes unlike anything they've ever seen. And they paid hundreds of billions of dollars while I was president. That's why they didn't want me as president. Those tariffs are killing us, sir. I said, you've been killing us for 30 years. Biden wants to do nothing because he can't do it. Together in 4 incredible years under our administration, we delivered the largest tax cuts and regulatory cuts. Our regulations, I think it was bigger even and more important, Rudy, than the tax cuts. It created the greatest economy in history. We built the greatest economy in history. And a lot of it was the regulation cuts and the tax cuts. And those two things go hand in hand. We achieved energy independence and energy dominance was just around the corner. We had gasoline prices for your car of $1.87 a gallon. We had times when it was even lower than that. And now it goes up to 5 and 6 and 7. And it's going to start going up again. We filled up the strategic reserves, and they emptied it out so that they could keep the price of gasoline cheap before an election. That's supposed to be used for much more important things than that, like military and security. We created the most secure border in U.S. history, built nearly 500 miles of border wall, got Mexico to give us, free of charge, 28,000 soldiers. You know why he did that? I said, you have to give us soldiers while we're building the wall. No, 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 we can't do that. And I really like the president of Mexico. He's a socialist, but that's all right. Can't have everything. But I do like him. But I said, you have to give us 28,000 soldiers. They thought I was crazy when I said that. And I also said, you have to give us remain in Mexico. Nobody comes into our country, they have to remain in Mexico. And Title 42, that's having to do with sickness, as you know. We just don't want sick people that are going to come in and infect our country. And catch and release, you have to end it. But I said, we need all these things. And the woman at the State Department said, sir, they'll never do this. I've been doing this for 25 years, sir. They will never do it. She was actually very good, but she was so used to being turned down. I said, oh, they'll do it, 100%, 100%. What do you mean 100%, sir? They're never going to do that. Why would they give us free soldiers? You'll see. So the top person in Mexico outside of the president, El Presidente, great guy. But the top person came in, he sat down. I said, here's what we need. We need 28,000 soldiers free of charge because you're letting all these people pour into our country and we're building the wall. And we need them immediately, free of charge. He laughed at me. Then I said, we need the other things that we just went over. We need no more catch and release. I'm not doing it. We're going to catch and we're going to release them into your country, not into our country. And we need stay in Mexico. I gave him a list of 10 different things, all of which are impossible. And he said, sir, you must be kidding. Why would we? We're not going to do that. I said, yes, you're 100%. I told him, 100% you're going to do it. No, no, we're not going to do it, sir. He said, here's what's happening. And I had right in front of me an executive order that if you don't do it, we're going to charge you 25% tariff and taxes on all of your cars and every other thing that you sell into the United States of America. You took the business away. Now you're going to pay a big tax. And I'm ready to sign it. And this was a Friday. I said, this goes into effect Monday morning at 9 o'clock. And I'm being nice by saying 9 because I was going to say, why didn't you make it 7? But they didn't do that. Goes into effect Monday morning at 9 o'clock. Sir, I'm sure you wouldn't do that. I said, no, 100% I'm going to do it. Sir, do you mind if I leave the room for a few minutes? I'd like to make a phone call. He came back about 5 minutes later. Sir, we would be honored to allow you to do all of the things. We would be honored. This would be a great honor for us, sir. Oh, I had many of those things. We got everything. The woman at the State Department, she was good. But she was turned down. She said, I've been turned down for 20, 25 years for asking for that stuff, and you got everything. And I said, 100%, we're going to get everything. So they gave us 28,000 soldiers free. And you know what? If they didn't, we would have made a lot of money on the tariffs, because frankly, there should be tariffs. Because they took our business out of Michigan, they put it into Mexico, and then they sell cars to our country, just like you used to sell cars to our country. But they took 32% of our automobile manufacturing business out of our country. Most of it came from Michigan, right here, this wonderful place. And I said, you know what? We're going to make a fortune if you say no to me. But he came back within 5 minutes. But I've done that with many, many phone calls. I wish they could have all been taped and recorded. I had Macron call up. And our people came to me and said, you know, France wants to charge us a massive tax if you're an American company doing business in France. They want to charge us a very big tax. I said, they can't do that. So I gave it to Mnuchin and some people. I said, call up. Tell them we're not doing it. They called up. They came back a week later. They said, sir, they're doing it. It's already been passed by their so-called legislature. I said, no, they're not going to do it. Give it another couple of days and go back and try it. They came back. They said, no. So I called up Emmanuel Macron, a nice guy, but he's a wise guy, but he's a nice man. But he's a wise guy. Hey, look, these people are all at the top of their game. Our guy wasn't at the top of his game 40 years ago, okay? But these people, Macron, and say what you want, President Xi, they said the fake news, is President Xi a smart man? I said, no, he's a brilliant man. He controls 1.4 billion people with an iron fist. How dare he say he's brilliant? You're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to say it. But I said to Macron, I said, let me call him. Emmanuel, how are you? It's nice to talk to you. Emmanuel, here's the story. I understand you're going to charge American business. Oh, yes, Donald. I am. I was going to charge American business, yes. We've been doing this for a long time. Yes, we have decided to charge American businesses a tax. The tax is like 25%. And I don't want that to happen. That's unfair. We don't charge them. I said, well, I don't want you to do it, Emmanuel. But, Donald, we have to. It's already been passed, and we will be signing legislation next week. I said, here's the story, Emmanuel. If you charge us that tax, I will charge you 100% taxes and tariffs on all wine and champagne coming into the United States. And that starts tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. I got this out. No, 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 he said, you cannot do that. That is very unfair. Can you believe it? That's unfair. They can charge us with, this is the way, because they've been dealing with stupid people for 40 years. These deals are the stupidest deals. NAFTA is the stupidest deal I've ever seen. Everyone said there's no way he can get that terminated. And a new deal, I got it terminated from great people in the Senate and great people in the House. We got it terminated because you had to have it terminated in the House and the Senate. We got it terminated. I signed the termination and I replaced it with USMCA. But I said, no, no, Emmanuel, I'm sorry. He said, may I call you back? I said, you may. How long will it take you to call me back? Oh, it will be a short, about 4 minutes later I'll call. He goes, Donald, we have decided that we will not put the tax on American companies. That was it. That was it. Let me give you the bad news. The bad news is now they're putting it on under the Biden administration. And I guarantee you Joe Biden's not calling up saying, Emmanuel, what are you doing? No, he wants to go to sleep and just relax. We appointed nearly 300 federal judges and 3 great Supreme Court justices. I rebuilt our United States military. We created Space Force, which is a big deal. First time in 78 years, Air Force was before. First time in 78 years since Air Force. Defeated ISIS, 100% of ISIS. And I brought our troops back home where they belong. I imposed the most powerful travel ban to keep radical Islamic terrorists out of our country. It took a lot of heat, remember that? And you know, if you think, I don't like to talk about it, but if you think for 4 years we didn't have a problem, did we, huh? But we have a lot of bad people coming into our country now. I was the first president in 70 years who didn't start a war. I didn't start a war. Everybody said, beautiful Hillary Clinton. You know, I don't call her crooked anymore, so I have a new name, beautiful. She's a beautiful person. Beautiful Hillary. She's a beautiful woman.